Hello, my name is Daniel Diaz, and for my international cuisine project, I decided to do Cuba as my country. Now, Cuba is located in the Caribbean Sea, south of the United States, east of Mexico, north of Central and South America, and it's surrounded by various other island countries. Now, Cuba is the largest island country in the Caribbean, and some of the smaller countries that surround it are Haiti, the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and then, of course, with bigger countries, it has the United States to the north and Mexico to the west. The different effects on the cuisine that some of these countries have had on Cuba, because of all the colonizations over the years, especially with French and Spanish and African, it all came together amongst the different islands. Looking at Cuba's culinary history. So, Columbus discovered Spain in 1492. As per what most people have heard, when Columbus came, they pretty much wiped out most, if not all, the natives on Cuba because of diseases they brought over, or because of overworking, because they used them as slaves. When Columbus came to Cuba, they brought different types of foods with them, such as citrus fruits, different vegetables, rice, and the colonization of Cuba was big, especially because of the sugar cane, with sugarcane being a primary product that was extremely useful and popular. They had to make sure that they had the manpower to work the fields. Unfortunately, as I said before, because of all the diseases that were brought over, killing off the natives, they had to bring in some slaves from Africa. And with the African slaves coming over, they introduced some of their cuisine into the Cuban food culture. Looking at Cuba's agricultural history, as I said before, the Spanish colonization really helped with growing Cuba's diverse foods. Also, you had the French and the Dutch and everyone and all those countries colonizing the countries around Cuba as well. So some of that rubbed off on it as well. As I said before, again, the slaves that came over, when they came over, they brought with them their culture, their foods, and the most recent past for the agriculture history was the Revolution. When the Revolution happened, it didn't really help with agriculture at all. Many people fled the country looking for a better life, or just because they did not agree with the Castro regime. And to go along with that further, the collapse of the economic organization of communist states practically sent Cuba into a downward spiral of an economic depression because of the embargo with the United States, and with only certain countries being able to procure products and produce for Cuba. Cuba was pretty much left to fend for itself. Looking at the agriculture present day, the biodiversity is much greater. Instead of just planting one or two crops like sugarcane and tobacco, they've been planting a wider variety of crops. Now, unfortunately, because of the embargo, the agriculture economy is still struggling, but it's doing much better because of the biodiversity of the plant life. So looking at the different herbs and spices and vegetables that are pretty common in Cuban dishes, so there's garlic, tomatoes, onions, peppers, malanga, which is like taro root, potatoes, boniatos, which is sweet potato, yuca, which is similar to a sweet potato, however it is much more starchy, plantains, cloves, cinnamon, cilantro, mango, sugarcane, oregano, bay leaf, and rice. Looking at proteins, beans are a big staple. Black beans are the most popular, however in Cuba they also eat red beans and chickpeas as well. Pork, ham, and chicken are very big as well. However, with beef and fish, because of the scarcity, it's not as popular. Cuba is a very big farming country, so they enjoy pork and ham very much. Looking at the different regional dishes, so obviously rice and beans is a popular one. Mojo criollo is a garlic oil and sour orange juice sauce with roasted meat, typically chicken or pork. Ropa vieja is shredded meat, typically chicken or pork again, but sometimes beef, in tomatoes, garlic, onions, peppers, and wine, and it's always served with rice and beans. The Cuban sandwich is very popular, and it has to be used with Cuban bread, which is similar to a French baguette, but it's lighter and fluffier. If you use different bread for Cuban sandwich, it still may taste good, but it's not the same. It doesn't have the same kind of texture and crunch that you want. Mojo is very big. It's olive oil, garlic, lemon juice, Cuban cilantro sauce. It's usually served either as a dipping sauce, or you can pour it on top of maybe some fried yuca or plátanos or tostones, which is, tostones are the fried plantains and plátanos are the sweet plantains. And café con leche is extremely big as well. In Cuba, café or coffee is almost a necessity. Every morning, majority of Cubans will wake up, have the café con leche, and sometimes they may even have more than one cup a day. With the influence on the United States, Miami is essentially known as Mini Cuba or Little Cuba because of the immigration of so many Cubans. Staying in Miami is popular because of its similar weather and it's easy to get some produce from Cuba, even if it may not be exactly legal. And there are pockets around the country of Cuban communities. Like right here in Delaware, there's a small Cuban community. In New Jersey, New York, all around the United States, there are many different small communities of Cubans that, sometimes you don't even know about. The current culinary scene in Cuba, because of tourism, it's helping bring about huge changes. A lot more bars and restaurants are starting to boom, and it's helping the economy a lot. When Fidel Castro was in power in the 1990s, he allowed businesses to open within homes, and that really helped the economy as well, because now, instead of all businesses being owned by the government, homeowners could actually make money and contribute more to the economy. And something that Cuba has been doing for a while, but they don't really see it as a trend, is a farm-to-table type thing. Like, as you see in this market, it's a very open market. People will come and go with many different fruits, vegetables, meats, and it's very sustainable. Looking at a current fine dining restaurant, there's El Mesón de Pepe in Key West, Florida. So looking at their menu, first they have some tapas. So you have some Cuban nachos, camarones al ajillo, guacamole, alitas de pollo, and many other different type things, like tostones rellenos, which is plantains stuffed with pork, picadillo, ropa vieja, with salads and sides. There's not too much you can do with that, mainly because there isn't a lot of types of salads in Cuban cuisine. Sandwiches, obviously you have your basic Cuban sandwich. You have pan con bistec, which is sirloin steak with grilled onions. Looking at the entrees, they have a different variety of foods. A lot of Cuban food is not spicy, mainly because of its Spanish influence. So if you look, a lot of these things aren't really spicy, like the picadillo habanero. There may be some peppers in it, but it's not like a spicy pepper, it's only bell peppers. And then if you're looking at dessert menu, guava bread pudding is very popular. Flan is a typical Spanish-Cuban dish. It's very simple to make and very delicious. Tres leches is also an extremely popular dish as well. Looking at my references, so I have the different websites that I used, as well as my family members that I talked to about this project. So my father, my abuela, or my grandmother, and my tío and tía, or my aunt and uncle. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.